Superstar rapper Aubrey Drake Graham just filed 2 petitions against Universal Music Group for defamation, on the grounds that Kendrick Lamar's hit song, Not Like Us, falsely painted him as a certified pedophile. Additionally, Drake alleges that Universal and Spotify used bots to artificially inflate the stream counts and sales numbers of Not Like Us, as well as illegally paying for the song to be played and promoted all around the world, again as an act of a smear campaign. And while 99% of people think Drake is just acting like a crybaby sore loser of a rap beef, that is just a tiny part of the bigger picture. Kendrick is likely just a small pawn in what really is Drake versus the most powerful people in the music industry. Most people are not willing to address the real corruption and chaos because it's easier and funnier to just treat it like 2 petty rappers writing poems about each other. But make no mistake, Drake is not a victim. This attack was a long time coming, and likely a response to his 15-year-long calculated measures to obtain power and control over his peers. And while Drake is currently trying to dismantle the corrupt music industry, there is no doubt he participated in and benefited from the corruption for years. And because of his recent efforts, he may have finally crossed a line that he cannot retreat from. Drake is putting his entire career and potentially his life on the line, but is it too late? Today we are going to discuss Drake's rise to power, the enemies he made along the way, why his power is such a threat to his enemies, and how this is going to change his career and the music industry as a whole. The singular most important factor in becoming successful in the music industry is building and obtaining power. Power, leverage, influence, and taking advantage of others is just the way the music industry works. And you might be thinking, Patrick, that's every industry, which is kind of true, but the music industry is different for a couple reasons. First, music will never go out of business. People will never stop wanting to consume music, whether we install computer chips into our brains or listen to some guy play the guitar on the street. Music will never die. Therefore, artists will never stop pursuing that dream. No matter how bad it gets, no matter how ugly, dirty, grimy, risky, and corrupt the music industry is, there will still be countless artists trying to get a taste of that dream. There will always be demand, there will always be supply. With that being said, music is always changing. Rapidly. Music is so dynamic and subjective, and what people are going to like is almost impossible to predict. That's why it's so difficult to remain popular for long periods of time, because by the time you get enough skills and work enough magic to make the right record and the right sound at the right time, people's tastes just change and then they're on to the next sound. And secondly, it's nearly impossible to separate the product, which is the music, from the brand or the artist. You cannot sell a Drake song without Aubrey Graham. You can try to come up with clone artists, you can try to have them write music for other people, but ultimately you will never fully connect with fans or reach your maximum earning potential unless it is Aubrey Graham performing that Drake song. But that's only if he's alive, because the caveat to the music business is, if the artist is dead, their music actually becomes more valuable. Drake did not start his music career in an attempt to obtain power. He was a theater kid, raised by his Jewish mother while his father was in Memphis, Tennessee, incarcerated due to drug-related charges. He saw decent success after securing the role as Jimmy on the hit Canadian teen drama show Degrassi, but he wanted to be a rapper. He was a fan of the culture and simply wanted to make his mark on it. Drake once famously rapped, "I'm a J. Prince investment." That's because J. Prince was a drug kingpin out of Houston, Texas in the 80s. In efforts to make his business more legitimate, he started a record label, signing iconic rap groups like the Ghetto Boys and UGK. J. Prince's son, J. Prince Jr., discovered Drake on MySpace. They took a risk on the light-skinned Canadian boy and introduced him to Lil Wayne and Birdman. With the cosign of the biggest rapper in the game, Wayne fans immediately took a liking to Drake. Within 3 years, he topped the charts via collaborations with Wayne, Kanye West, Jay-Z, and Eminem. Drake was the fastest rising young superstar in hip-hop, but in 2010, Drake realized his throne was vulnerable, and he made a crucial mistake that he would never make again. And I don't want you to make the mistake of buying tickets anywhere else but...
See, you got cruiser, what's called? You whacking you for the freaking...
And in 2010, that was The Weeknd. Drake and The Weeknd are from the same city, Toronto, Canada. In 2010, Drake caught a wind of The Weeknd's single, Wicked Games. He tweeted the song's lyrics and promoted it on his blog, where he posted the single and a download link. But this wasn't really a new practice for Drake. He was constantly using his platform to show love to new talent. He also showed love to a young A$AP Rocky.
The only person that put on for me when I ain't have nobody was Drake.
True.
I'm talking about Drake was the first person to put on like,
where he was
before
just like, yo,
anybody. He didn't want to sign me.
Yeah.
He didn't want. It was like, yo, that's raw talent, yo. Like you gotta shine, yo. I'm gonna see to it. I forever owe Drake.
Drake has an amazing ear and eye for talent. He probably knew about your favorite artist before you did. But with The Weeknd, he took things a step further. Drake had The Weeknd perform at OVO Fest, which was his headlining festival thrown by his October's very own Sound record label. From there, Drake would be featured on The Weeknd's mixtape Thursday on the track The Zone. Drake took The Weeknd under his wing and spent a considerable amount of effort pushing his imprint, EXO. He mentioned OVO and EXO so much that people already thought it was some sort of business partnership. And that's because Drake knew The Weeknd was a superstar in the making. He even thought The Weeknd could be bigger than him.
I was waiting to see the next individual that would make history, that could potentially span far beyond mine, and I feel like that person is on the other end of this phone with me. He goes by the name of The Weeknd. Please talk to your city, man, please.
But Drake wasn't necessarily being altruistic and trying to just show the fans how great The Weeknd was. He also wanted Abel to help write songs for him on his upcoming album, Take Care. Take Care dropped in November of 2011 and sold 631,000 copies in the first week and is considered by many to be a classic album, perhaps Drake's best body of work. The Weeknd was featured on Crew Love, which is easily one of the highlights of the album, but Abel also received writing credits on Shot For Me, The Ride, Practice, and Cameras. The crazy part is The Weeknd was still independent at this point. Drake essentially made The Weeknd the most highly sought after artist in the game, and every record label was trying to sign him. But it's clear that Drake didn't really know if he was going to sign The Weeknd to OVO Sound, or if maybe they would start some sort of joint venture.
The team's coming together. We got 40 doing really well. We got new additions, we just sort of have this affiliation with The Weeknd. It's really great. He's on the album a bunch.
It's safe to assume that since Drake helped him jumpstart his career, that The Weeknd would stay loyal to him. Drake stayed loyal to Lil Wayne and Birdman, so maybe he figured The Weeknd would do the same. But he didn't. The Weeknd signed with Republic Records in a joint venture with his own label EXO in 2012. And the day that the news broke, Drake tweeted, "You won't get away with just a thank you. You owe me a favor." Perhaps The Weeknd didn't like the feeling of giving up half of his material to boost the success of an already popular man. We know this based on his 2013 interview with Complex, where he said that his album, House of Balloons, had way more songs before he gave them to Drake. He described one night in the studio recording The Ride, "I had sung this melody. It wasn't a hook, just an unfinished lyric. And Drake liked it so much he was like, I need to have this, man. I know I've already taken Shot For Me and Crew Love and this and that, and me, I was hungry at that time. I was like, dude, take anything." At that point, I was like, hell yeah. By signing to Republic, The Weeknd chose himself over Drake, which is selfish, but in the music industry, you have to be selfish. Signing to Drake could have resulted in him always living in Drake's shadow. And even though Drake gave The Weeknd a massive platform, in exchange, he got help writing an amazing album. Who knows what Take Care would have sounded like without Abel's writing? It seems like it was a fair trade. Plus, Drake was still the bigger, more successful artist. He even asked Abel to open up for him on his 2013 tour. The Weeknd wasn't a threat to the Drake empire. That was until The Weeknd prevented Drake from receiving his first ever #1 single. In the week of October 24th, 2015, The Hills by The Weeknd reached #1 on the Hot 100, with Drake's Hotline Bling directly underneath him at #2. Drake posted on IG with the caption, "If I get my first #1 during the month of October, it will be the biggest moment of my career to date. I always love the moment right before it happens more than when it actually happens. So thank you, even if it doesn't." Well, it didn't go #1. The Hills stayed there for 6 consecutive weeks. Drake realized right then and there he made a huge mistake. He essentially just gave all of the resources to another artist who could put him out of business. Ego aside, That's actually just a dumb business model. It's good for the art, it's good for the culture to uplift and help another artist, but it's bad for business if you do not have a contractual tie to them. And Drake made sure he would never make that mistake again. From now on, Drake would be extra careful of who he promotes to his fan base, unless they were signed to OVO Sound. But many suspect that he took it a step further and purposely held back his own OVO signees. They suspect that Drake only acquired these artists so that they could write music for Drake and essentially give their best material to him. This is what people commonly refer to as the OVO sweatshop. And when you look at the entire roster, there isn't one artist that outshines Drake. Most of them you probably never heard of, but was that intentional? Majid Jordan, an R&B duo from Toronto, were discovered by Drake's producer 40 after they released a mixtape anonymously on SoundCloud in 2012. 40 and Drake asked the duo to come write for Drake's upcoming album, Nothing Was the Same. In an interview with Hot 97, they describe what it was like working on a Drake record.
They basically put us in a studio, and it was like a studio camp almost. There were tents in there. There were like people flying
beats.
in. Yeah, make beats. Stay in the dungeon. Don't leave.
Like,
you cannot leave.
Literally tense. Literally
you can't
tense.
Tell anyone you're working on this project.
We met like so many people that we now work with and collaborate with.
Yeah,
it was just crazy. Like there was actually tents.
Yeah,
like,
there were tents in the
tents.
studio. People were capping it. I slept in a tent in the studio.
Everything.
Well, one night during these sessions, they recorded a demo for what is now Hold On We're Going Home, which was the most successful single on Drake's album. Majid not only produced the beat, but they wrote the lyrics and also performed on the bridge, and as a result, they were credited as collaborators on the record. However, their career started at its peak, and they have never replicated that level of success. Well, at least for their personal brand. They continued to help write hits for Drake such as Feel No Ways and For Free, but nothing they ever released under their own brand came close to matching the success of a song that they wrote for Drake. Then again, that doesn't mean that they are unsuccessful. Just taking a quick look at their stream counts from various projects and singles, they pretty easily secure well over 10 million streams per song, and Drake has featured on their projects multiple times over the years. Maybe the R&B duo just don't have the star power to become a household name. Maybe the OVO label tried to market them further, but just couldn't elevate their brand beyond a certain point. But 7 million monthly listeners after a decade-long music career is still undeniably successful. Party Next Door is easily the biggest artist on OVO Sound, yet many suspect his career has always been in Drake's shadow. Party is another Toronto native who was signed to OVO Sound in 2013. He remained basically anonymous, not doing any interviews or press for the first 2 years of his career. OVO Sound manager Oliver El Khatib described Party in 2015 saying, "He's the rare breed that writes, produces, engineers, performs, sings, all in one artist. He's pulling all of the strings. He's doing everything, so you hear his final production exactly the way he envisions it." During these anonymous years, he dropped his self-titled EP, which featured Drake, as well as his debut album, which also featured Drake, as well as spending a considerable amount of time writing for Drake's albums. But Party's success was not dependent on Aubrey. His most streamed song to date, Break from Toronto, is a solo song released on that 2013 EP. Party's music was strong enough to stand on its own. Additionally, Rihanna was the one who had the biggest hits with Party's writing. He wrote Wild Thoughts by Rihanna,
When I'm with you, all I get is wild thoughts.
Sex With Me by Rihanna, and Work by Rihanna. To suggest Party needed Drake is short-sighted. It might actually be the other way around.
You know, I know we talk about music all the time, and I'm so grateful for you. I would not be the artist I am if it wasn't for you. And that's not like even some, but like, that's not even some like, you know, I get on stage with people and I'm nice sometimes, but this is really actually like my favorite artist in the world. Like, I love this guy.
So why isn't P&D bigger than Drake? Well, maybe he didn't want to be. I would never call myself mysterious. The word I use is private, P&D says. I'm not hiding from pictures. When you see me, I'll say what's up. I just don't want to live in this fantasy where I act like everybody cares, and then I look like a jackass with someone filming me in the airport. A lot of people don't realize how much of a dream job being a top songwriter is. You get to make close to the same amount of money as the superstars, but can still have the comfortability and relative privacy of a regular citizen. Okay, you may not be able to have the shows and the merchandise, but you get what I'm saying. Typically, the only thing songwriters struggle with is ego. Party has expressed over the years some slight frustrations with living in Drake's shadow. He says the tracks on 2 earlier albums were to prove a point, that I'm here. I could be here. I'm not Drake's sidekick. People use quotes like this to draw conclusions that Drake was manipulating and pulling strings to just keep Party Next Door at bay. They're convinced that right when it seemed like P&D was gaining an advantage over him, Drake called some shots to slow his growth. But we have no way of proving that. Poetically, something about Drake changed after his 2013 album. Nothing was the same. Up until this point, he was perceived as the Canadian nice guy who makes dancey songs that the girls like. He was soft-spoken, humble, and kind. Perhaps it was because of all the gangster rap music he was listening to.
So you want to know?
Yeah, what are you into? What are you listening to? Who are you feeling?
I've been really inspired by
I just got the perfect gift for my boyfriend that was 20.
Oh boy, what was Drake inspired by?
like some real just gutter hood music, like just listening to like Lil Reese Savage mixtape. Listen to Lil Herb, Lil Bibby, Fergie. You know, I'm proud of Ferg, ASAP Ferg. He's been killing it.
Or maybe he had a slight chip on his shoulder after Kendrick Lamar infamously called him out among other rappers on a song called Control. After name-dropping Drake, Kendrick rapped, "I got love for you all, but I'm trying to murder you. I'm trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you. They don't want to hear not one more noun or verb from you." This song is arguably the origin of the infamous Kendrick Lamar vs. Drake saga that would go down 10 years later. Before Kendrick's deep seething hatred for Drake, he called him and many other rappers out in the spirit of keeping competitive hip-hop battle rap alive. But Drake did not respond via song at the time. It seems like he didn't take the diss as a truly competitive rap beef. He actually felt like Kendrick was a phony.
After Kendrick's thing, you wouldn't... I noticed you didn't really get into that too much, so...
I just like, I don't know, it just wasn't real to me. It's like, I saw him after that, and it was just like, love. So it's like, was that real or was that just like for the people? You know what I mean?
I think it's a sparring kind of sport.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, you know, they let it be real then, you know, I mean, because those were harsh words, right? So it's like, you can't just say that and then see me and be like, yeah, man, what's up? Pretending like nothing ever happened. Like, that's not real. That's not, to me, that's not like the nature of battling. I mean, there's passion behind it. There's anger behind it, you know. I personally enjoy making like great music and bodies of work over like being the talk of Twitter for like 5 days, you know.
But you seem just now a little irritated by it. No?
Really?
Yeah, just by even saying that it was those harsh words, it seemed like maybe it irritated you for a second. Is that wrong?
No, it's just like, I mean, like coming from that situation, it was unexpected, you know. I wouldn't like, it's sort of like in working your way up and sort of building relationships, I wouldn't expect you to like throw all the relationships out the door for the sake of, like I said, being like the talk of the internet for 10 days, and then, you know, it's like now this, like, everyone's gonna forget about. I mean, people don't even care about it anymore.
So true.
But now, especially this week, it's like, yeah, okay, moving on. Like, I don't know if it was worth it, you know, because there's a lot of people that were mentioned that I feel like can't really go back and with that guy after that. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I shouldn't have cussed.
No, it's okay. I enjoy it. Get into it, Drake. Go.
Even Angie Martinez recognized Drake was a little bent out of shape. He continuously got asked about the record in interviews, but every time he downplayed its impact and relevance.
He's giving people like moments, you know, like that verse was a moment to talk about. Are you listening to it now at this point in time? Okay. And then it was real cool for like, you know, a couple weeks. But like, if I asked you, for example, like, how does that verse start?
But some people actually believe that Drake sneak dissed Kendrick on the opening line of his song, The Language, when he rapped, "I don't know why they've been lying, but yo is not that inspiring." And even though Kendrick denies this allegation, he seemingly responded in a BET cypher verse when he said, "And nothing been the same since they dropped Control and tucked a sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes." Although this seems like an obvious exchange, we can't necessarily confirm that it was a true back and forth. However, Drake did say that should anyone test him in a rap battle, he would respond with full force.
You should get into a rap battle.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think that would be great.
I feel like that's just,
I feel
like those things are of the moment.
Yeah, but Yeah, but you are.
Yeah, he's like, I'm too good for that.
You're
shit.
qualified.
Yo, this
Yeah,
dude
no,
is-
I don't know.
Like
I'd hold it
it
down.
would be enjoyable.
Yeah, but I do like I really do this like as far
I
as
like
writing
Drake, man. I
goes.
fuck with him.
And it would have to be
I'm dancing.
warranted because it would
Fuck
get
this shit
it
all
would
the
be
way to the
scathing.
drive,
The bars would
5-hour
be
drive,
scathing. I
man.
can't just do it out of. I can't be the first one.
Drake made his point very clear. It would be bad for anyone who dare test him on the mic, and that's exactly what would happen in 2015 when he entered his first ever rap beef against Meek Mill. In 2015, the hip-hop culture gave Drake unimaginable power when he was outed for using ghostwriters, and literally none of his fans cared. Up until then, ghostwriting was considered taboo in hip-hop. Hip-hop was founded on personal expression, storytelling, the ability to craft clever wordplay and flows, making an artist's lyrics a direct representation of their life experience. Additionally, the culture of battle rap and freestyling also emphasized spontaneity and raw internal expression. So when you remove the fact that someone didn't write their own words, it undermines their credibility and challenges their authenticity. In 2015, Meek Mill tweeted, "Stop comparing Drake to me too. He don't write his own raps. That's why he ain't tweet my album because we found out." And while you might think this is Meek Mill honoring the hip-hop code and standing up for the culture, he said this because he felt like Drake dissed him over a girl. 1 month before this tweet, Drake and Meek Mill collaborated on a song called Rico, where Drake rapped, "The girl of your dreams to me is probably not a challenge." Meek Mill felt that Drake was talking about Meek's then girlfriend, Nicki Minaj. Drake and Nicki were Young Money signees and also came up in the rap game together at the same time. Over the years, they have expressed their desires for each other, but never were in a formal relationship. They also deny ever having been romantically involved.
My involvement in the situation was the fact that my man thought he was getting dissed with the line, "To me, your girl of your dream is really not a challenge," or whatever.
Right.
I said, bro, he's not dissing you. He's not dissing you. Like, he's not dissing you.
He's talking about someone else. He's talking about just in theory or whatever.
Well, those weren't technically his bars.
Oh, got it. Yep. Okay. And that was that.
It's hilarious to think that Meek crashed out over something that Drake rapped, but also claimed that Drake didn't write it, because the man who did write it was named Quentin Miller. Quentin was an upcoming artist from Atlanta who already secured a publishing deal with Red Zone Entertainment under Tricky Stewart.
I met Boy Wonder in a random session in Toronto that I had through the Red Zone situation I was with at the time, and I just shot a random Hail Mary text to Wonder one summer, 2013, top of 2014. I was like, "Yo, can I send you some songs?" He's like, "Yeah." I sent him some songs. He f***ed with it.
At the time, Drake was working on his If You're Reading This, It's Too Late album, and Quentin had sent him the song that we now know as 10 Bands. Quentin thought Drake was just gonna hop on the track and he was gonna get a feature, but OVO Sound was only interested in him as a songwriter. Since Quentin had nothing to lose, he joined the team, got in the studio with Drake, and helped write Used To, Legend, 6 Man, and 10 Bands. Notice how this was very similar to The Weeknd's initiation into OVO Sound, but this time, Drake kept Quentin a secret. He did not shout him out or give him any publicity. With the help of Quentin's writing, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late sold 535,000 copies in the first week, landing it at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. This album is my personal favorite, and also universally agreed upon by Drake fans to be one of his top 3 albums.
At the time, I don't know, it just felt like a dream because everybody was just so welcoming. It just felt so cool. I felt like I was a part of the shit. Like, Drake literally was looking me in my face like, "Yo, man, this album wouldn't be possible if it weren't for you. Like, you really helped. You have no idea, da da da."
But I'm sure you're noticing a pattern here. Drake swoops up buzzing artists with their finger on the pulse of the hot new sound in hip-hop. He offers them a chance to work with the biggest artists in the game. But the caveat is, you also have to write for him, which usually leads to you giving your best material and ideas to him. Some people see this as predatory, and preying on desperate artists is not new to the music industry. It's actually been considered standard practice for decades. But again, we talked about leverage. When you're a new artist, you're unknown, you don't really have any leverage. Why should anyone take a risk on you? How many investors invest in companies that don't have any sales? They just have an idea. Not many. Plus, the trade-off was kind of worth it for Quentin. Even though it wasn't his voice or his brand, his art and the words that he wrote were being sung by fans around the world. However, the only reason why we know who Quentin is because of Meek Mill's expose. Quentin's reference tracks got leaked to Funkmaster Flex of Hot 97, who decided to play them on New York radio.
Oh, money, new women, gotta keep it balanced. The girl of your dreams to me is probably not a challenge.
Fans were stunned to hear Drake take lyrics bar for bar from some random guy they never heard of.
When I get it, nigga, recipe. I can tell you how it happened. I can tell you about no safe house nights. I'm Calabasas. I can tell you not a rapper.
But many people wonder how Quentin's reference tracks got leaked in the first place. Well, perhaps it was DJ Drama, who was also upset at Drake over a girl. Specifically, DJ Drama's ex-wife, Summer P. Walker.
So now, Drama, Drake smashed your girl.
Jesus.
Well, which other way I'm supposed to say it? Drake had sexual relations with a girl that was affiliated with you.
Drake seemingly took shots at DJ Drama on his 2015 hit For Free, where he rapped, "Last year I had drama girl, not right now." And on the track I'm the Plug, he rapped, "And it really ain't no thing, I got Summer P in this thing." Summer P. Walker fired out multiple tweets towards Drama over their personal manners, but in one of them she wrote, "Or how you told me that you gave Meek Drake's reference tracks to make him feel better about Quentin not wanting to work with him." This tweet was seemingly the last piece of the puzzle because Meek Mill found out about Quentin writing for Drake through DJ Drama, who discovered Quentin while looking for a ghostwriter for Meek Mill.
I was approached by, it was never direct. It was always through like Drama or Canon. And they were like, yo, you know, Meek wants you to write for him or whatever. And I was just like, nah, you know. He asked me the first time, I said nah. Then like maybe a week or two later, they asked me again. I said, nah, at this point, you know, Drama was very upset. He was really upset about me saying no.
This puts into question the origins of the beef in the first place. Did Meek care about the culture? Did he care about the authenticity of Drake's hip-hop presence? Or was he merely jealous over a girl and the fact that a songwriter wanted to work with Drake instead of him? Regardless, Meek exposing Drake was the first time that anyone had ever tested his authenticity in hip-hop. Drake had been using writers for years, but it was mostly on pop and R&B ballads, so that's kind of par for the course. But like we said before, this is a huge issue in hip-hop. So to hear Drake rap about being a legend, doing drills, and flexing his big dog status knowing those weren't even his words had people questioning him. Drake felt like he needed to clap back and prove to the world that he could actually write his raps. He responded with a song Charged Up, and before Meek could even respond to that, he dropped another diss track called Back to Back, which absolutely exploded in popularity. Most notably for the line, "Is that a world tour or your girl's tour?" where he basically accused Meek of riding the coattails of Nicki Minaj, who many at the time felt like she was too good for him. Back to Back went double platinum and was the first diss track in history to be nominated for a Grammy. It was a hit. Even though hip-hop enthusiasts didn't like that Drake was using writers, they recognized that he did win the beef against Meek Mill. Even Kendrick Lamar liked the song. In Kendrick's 2024 diss track aimed at Drake called Euphoria, he rapped, "Back to Back? I like that record." Back to Back gave Drake an immense amount of power because it proved that his fans and the greater hip-hop culture didn't care about rappers using songwriters.
You know, I've really made my peace. I have no embarrassment when it comes to what I did on that album. You know, I mean, I worked with somebody, I think 4 or 5 songs on that record. I pulled my weight when it came to my pen. It wasn't like I needed somebody to facilitate, you know, entire ideas. We worked together. If I need to be the poster child that took all those hits for all my peers hiding behind me that do the same thing every fucking album, that's fine, I'll do it. You know, because there's a lot of people that link up with other people and make records that you guys love. That's kind of how music is a collaborative thing, you know? And I understand in rap, we conduct ourselves, and I still associate myself in that community, we conduct ourselves by a few different rules. We tweak the rules a little bit in the sense that—
If it's a look, it's okay.
Yeah, it's like, you know, there's things like that, you know, but, you know, with that being said, like, you know, anybody that knows me knows that my strongest talent is writing. That is my strongest talent. I'm not a great singer. I'm a good performer. I've grown into a
great performer. But my greatest talent is writing, you know, and that's why people ask me to write songs for them. That's why people like to get in the room and write with me.
There is no arguing against the fact that Drake is a proficient songwriter himself. I mean, even if he's just getting ideas from other people, or what they call in the industry as starters, he still knows what to change and what words to say and how to structure the song in its entirety for it to become a hit. But to suggest he needs other people to write his songs is just false, as he has countless hit songs that were written entirely by himself. But from a business perspective, there is no doubt that building a coalition of fantastic writers will make your life easier, which is why literally every artist in every other genre in the music industry does it. I have even participated in writing sessions with artists that I documented on YouTube, and 9 times out of 10, it is easier and just more enjoyable to collaborate on music with other people. And most of the time, fans don't care about how the song was made. They either connect with it or they don't. Drake also makes a great point that his peers use writers, yet he is the one catching flack for it. One rapper that is notorious for using songwriters is Kanye West. Drake has even written a handful of songs for Ye, but you never hear anyone questioning his lyrical ability or his authenticity as it pertains to music. And if you still don't buy into that, listen to Ye explain it.
I'll be having like 12 writers in the studio that don't add up to Drake. God's version would be like, oh, Drake just said. That's why I was interested when he heard 30 Hours, because Drake wrote that for me. I sent him like, boom, here I got like this many ideas. Like the line I had, like, I was nervous to do Victoria's Secret show until I pictured everybody with no clothes. And I sent it to Drake, and Drake took it and barred it out and wrote the whole rap. You understand like how much easier my life would be if Drake would just like write my raps for me? You know what I'm saying? I'm sure everyone wished they had that luxury, but
But Joe Budden, retired rapper turned podcast host, claims that Drake is just different. He needs to abide by different rules.
Yeah, but Drake's was a little telling. The Drake's it wasn't on the same level of Milli Vanilli. Drake was on an easy 7-year run of not a whack verse at one point.
That's true.
He was the first one to he was talking ultra slick. I sound like it's me featuring me. You niggas need me. Like, whoa. Yeah. Like, so we can't hear a ref track then. I guess it was the shock to it. Or it's tough.
A lot of people felt that Drake needed to abide by different rules and standards, but they don't seem to have them clearly defined. And although it seems like I'm beating a dead horse here, it's really important to know that this is quite literally the origin of what would become the slow unraveling of Drake's career. It all started with this ghostwriter stuff. Literally every single modern rapper has used songwriters at some point, and
Drake's
most people understood this, which is why nobody outside of Drake's haters really cared about the ghostwriter revelations. Nothing Meek Mill did really lowered Drake's authenticity, status, or value. It arguably just made him more popular. It's no surprise that all this beef started over a girl when Drake has built a reputation for taunting other rappers over women. The perfect example of this was when he got into a physical altercation with Chris Brown over Rihanna. Rihanna became close to Drizzy after their collaboration on Take Care. At this point, Chris and Drake had been cordial for several years, having performed and recorded music together in early 2010. Around that time, rumors began circulating that Drake and Rihanna were dating, which Drake denied. Chris and Drake continued to be seen together, publicly attending basketball games and nightclub events. Drake later remixed Chris's hit single, Deuces, while Chris jumped on the Marvin's Room remix. In June of 2012, both men found themselves at a nightclub called Whip in New York City. Chris and his entourage arrived at the club first. Drake and his entourage entered sometime later, and immediately there was a shift in the vibe of the room. Apparently, Drake sent a bottle over to Chris's section that had an extremely bold statement on it.
Imagine how bold Drake was when Drake sends a bottle over there and with a note that says, I'm the love of your life.
He did that?
That was supposedly the note. And right then, beef starts.
After this alleged note, witnesses told TMZ members of both entourages rushed in and began shoving each other, causing a fight to break out and bottles being used as weapons. Drake was seemingly able to flex his power over other rappers by stealing their women. He even did it to Lil Wayne, the man who basically made his music career. In Kendrick's Not Like Us, he rapped, "Effed on Wayne girl while he was in jail. That's conniving. Then get his face tatted like a bitch apologizing." Wayne published a book about his 8-month stint in prison prison called Gone Till November, a journal of Rikers Island. In the book, he wrote, "I'm used to arguing with my girl daily, but finding out that she effed Drake was the absolute worst thing I could have found out. When Drizzy came to see me, he was like, yeah, it's true. Don't F with her like that, cause I did F her."
In the book, there's a part in the book where you say that he came in and told you that he had smashed one of your girls.
When he wrapped up? I wasn't worried about that. I mean, you know, I was just, you know, that's just how life goes when you locked up. Yeah, I know.
But she's done, you moved on, life is good. Life is good. Will you rap about that? Do you think it'll end up on a song maybe you two might, you know?
No.
No?
She still be texting me and stuff, you know? They stop texting me too, for real. Cause it still hurt.
Drake also took some shots at Rick Ross after Ross sided with Meek Mill in the beef. He rapped in his track Weston Road Flows, "Yeah, I brought your wifey out to St. Martin. She violated. I sent her back where it all started." Drake allegedly took Rick Ross's ex-fiancée, Lyra Galore, on a vacation after their breakup. This picture she posted kissing Drake on the cheek with the caption, "I love you," just added salt to the wound. Now most people look at Drake's actions as spineless, but others shift the blame on the women. If they're willing to have relationships with multiple rappers, then maybe that's a reflection of their own lack of loyalty and respect. But that wasn't the end of Drake's problems in 2015. Another one of his OVO sound signees vocalized some of the chaos and mistreatment at the label, causing fans to dive even deeper into the OVO sweatshop allegations. That signee was Isla McConan, the artist that blew up from his hit song Got the Club Going Up on a Tuesday. McConan was a relatively unknown artist to the public, but was well connected in the Atlanta hip-hop scene. After the song gained some momentum online, Sonny Digital, esteemed trap producer who made the beat, got a text from Drake.
I was like, "Who's this?" And they said, "Drake." I just hit him back. It was him. He just asked him if he can get on the song and shit though. And I'm like, man, I don't know why you asking me for. Like, shit. Man, let me call you right back. Let me call McConan right quick and see what's up, man. You know, McConan is like, of course, like, you know what I'm saying? That's not even the question.
McConan didn't even think twice and was excited for Drake to jump on the remix. On September 1st, 2014, they released the song and it launched up to number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100. McConan signed to OVO Sound and immediately released his debut album. Another artist that generated buzz organically, and Drake seemingly swooped in and hopped on their wave.
A lot of people attempted to criticize him for finding these younger artists and then in a sense exploiting and biting their style. Like, I know when he put up a post on Instagram dancing to a track by Kodak Black and Earl Sweatshirt. He had his words and he wasn't really feeling it so much. What do you say in regards to that, since, you know, it benefited you and you don't take it as that?
I feel like it's not bad at all. I mean, Drake is like the biggest artist in our genre, you know what I'm saying? Or like in music, right? And it's like, so if a lot of people are paying attention to him and he's paying attention to us, then that's bringing us out, you know what I'm saying? That's helping bring us new artists out to the world stage, rather than it's like, it's just Drake, and you know what I'm saying? Like, all those people over there can't get a shine. It's like he's in his shine, he's giving everybody else shine as well. It's like reflecting.
But this didn't really seem like fair criticism, since Drake signed McConan, and McConan had a few singles after Tuesday that were making the rounds in the clubs and online, such as I Don't Sell Molly No More and I Like To. So it seemed like the label was helping him out. That was until some of McConan's old tweets resurfaced that would sour the relationship. Tweets where McConan called Drake corny and criticized anyone who was a fan of his music. McConan claims he simply was young, online, and saying wild stuff just to get attention, to get a reaction. As if that wasn't bad enough, 2 months later, McConan claims his Twitter was hacked, where someone made a handful of disparaging tweets, including one that read, "F Drake and F OVO for getting on Fetty Wap's remix and leaving me in the cold." If you were Drake and you let the first run of tweets slide, would you forgive him again for the second time? Even if someone was sabotaging McConan's career, this could easily be seen as a business liability. McConan says that they never really spoke again after that interaction, and then McConan proceeded to drop one of the worst freestyles in hip-hop history over 3 different Drake beats. He starts off the freestyle with a sigh of relief saying, "I finally get to show y'all," then proceeds to show us how terrible he is at freestyling.
I'm an actor boy. Around, I'm in the field like a tractor boy, going krill breezeway. make this shit look so damn easy.
After this, McConan would release his second album that he claims OVO refused to promote. But the narrative remained that Drake used McConan and hung him out to dry. And McConan still felt slighted. They knew I had a new wave, a new sound starting up, and they jumped on that to further their wave. They didn't want to sustain and support me, only themselves. Besides, I only met Drake 3 times. We spoke maybe 5 times. Never about my career, just about getting stuff done. It is possible that 2 things can be true at once. Drake may have stolen his wave, but at the end of the day, in the music industry, you have to handle your own business and look out for yourself. McConan sabotaged his own career with the tweets and was making objectively bad music. But McConan was just one of the many Atlanta artists that Drake would eventually collaborate with. He dropped an entire project alongside Atlanta legend Future called What a Time to Be Alive. This project came just 2 months after Future released his most successful album of his career, Dirty Sprite 2, so Drake's timing couldn't be more calculated. Drake's strategic collaborations inspired Kendrick's Not Like Us bar, "You run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars, no, you not a colleague, you a effin' colonizer." But that second line goes a little deeper than just stealing a new rapper's wave. Although Drake was facing the worst public mauling of his career after What a Time to Be Alive, with hits like Jumpman, Diamonds Dancing, and Big Rings dominating the radio and clubs, fans could care less about his beefs. They just wanted him to drop his highly anticipated project, Views. Drake's 2016 album Views sold 852,000 copies in the first week, earning him his 4th #1 spot on the Hot 200. All 20 songs from the album charted on the Billboard Hot 100, and it is still his most successful album to date with over 7 million units sold. Yet much of the success can be attributed to its pop appeal. One Dance, Hotline Bling, Too Good, Controlla, Feel No Ways is a hodgepodge of dancey tracks inspired by different popular music genres around the world. Although Drake had been making pop records for years now, they typically felt like one-off singles. His albums were usually hip-hop based, which is where his core fans wanted him to stay. Views was an obvious attempt to see how far he could fully extend outside of hip-hop.
It's a shame if you don't notice the shift in energy around you. I mean, you can't be oblivious to what's going on around you. And I just like kind of woke up one day like, yo, this is my time. This is my this is my thing. I run this, you know, like nobody can really talk to me. I'm good at what I do, and you know, I'm ready for anything really, you know, and whatever it is, whether it's a One Dance or whether it's Know Yourself or whether it's Energy or whether it's whatever, I'm ready. I'll shell out anybody, you know. There was just a point where I was just like, yo, I don't give a fuck. I'm ready to take on anything.
Now, music fans of all genres get upset when artists decide to switch genres, but in hip-hop it seems to cut a little deeper. When rappers switch genres, fans may see it as abandoning their roots. Since rap is more than music, it's a lifestyle and a cultural identity, so a shift can feel like a loss of authenticity. But that's the thing about Kendrick calling Drake a colonizer. He doesn't consider Drake to be one with the culture, but rather someone who just wants to take from and profit from and exploit the culture. Views being a pop record only helps Kendrick's argument because of the accolades and financial upsides of abandoning hip-hop and going pop. Drake even bragged about ditching rap for more success. Got the Billboard melodies, rap is something I do on the side, crossed over to the other side, and I didn't even have to die. Drake's success harbored resentment amongst his opposition, and one of his biggest enemies / secret admirers, Kanye West, had kept his mouth shut long enough.
Because they've been paid to play that bullshit over and over and over. I love Drake, I love Khaled, but they set that song up, bro.
During Ye's 2016 St. Pablo tour, he was infamously going on long-winded rants about the music industry, the fashion industry, and his personal life night after night. On this particular evening, he came at Drake and DJ Khaled. He was specifically frustrated about the radio presence of their collaboration for free. The song spent 9 weeks on the US Billboard Hot 100 chart, peaking at number 13, but the radio data will shock you. Riverside, San Bernardino, California championed the song with 136 spins spins in the most recent tracking week. It was the station's most played song of the week. That means the song was played an average of 19 times per day, nearly once every hour, and that's just on one station in the USA. Ye was seemingly hinting that there was some sort of payola or pay for play going on, since he said they had set the song up. Which is ironic since this is the exact thing that Drake is accusing Kendrick of doing today. However, Ye didn't provide any substantial proof of this, and this jab at Drake was just one quick mention of a 17-minute rant. Ye was also hospitalized after this evening due to exhaustion. Although we are used to this behavior from Ye now, at the time, everyone just called him crazy and shrugged it off. Drake responded to the criticism in an interview with DJ Semtex where he admits he was kinda confused.
I don't know. I think everybody has their own little things going on. You know, I'm not really sure what he's referring to half the time, you know, because I went from being like working on a project with him to him sort of like publicly on me and DJ Khaled for being on the radio too much, you know. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, you know, everybody's got their own thing going on. You know, again, me when I hear that, I just like, you know, I just distance myself from it. Like, all right, you know, if that's what it is, I don't really even understand the point you're trying to make, but, you know, whatever it is that you're going through, you know, I accept it. I don't respect it at all, you know, because I feel like me and Khaled are both just like good people. You know, I'm not really sure why we're the target of your, you know, choice that you made that night. But again, you know, I accept what you're going through. And, you know, I just go and continue working on my own thing. And, you know, the more and more this progresses, the more and more I just feel like keeping to myself because it's just so unpredictable. You never know like which way people are gonna go. So
at this point, Ye and Drake were actually on good terms. I believe Drake is being genuine here. Drake had helped Ye write a few records on the life of Pablo, and they only ever expressed positive sentiments about each other up until this point. Now, aside from the obvious mental health issues he was struggling with, Ye was seemingly just jealous that a throwaway Drake record for free was outperforming any of the Life of Pablo songs on the radio. 2016 was yet another summer dominated by Drake. However, 2017 would go down as a pivotal year for Drake. For his entire career up until this point, he rode the waves of the new generation rappers only to further his own career and watch them crumble. Well, one artist was not going to let that happen, and his name was XXXTentacion. X had built one of the most loyal and die-hard fan bases hip-hop had ever seen, and he did it exclusively on SoundCloud. In late 2016 and early 2017, X's iconic song Look at Me started blowing up online. The crazy part was X was locked up in Broward County Jail with charges for robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and home invasion. Drake was on his Boy Meets World tour where he previewed an upcoming song from his 2017 album More Life that sounded eerily similar to X's Look at Me. This song would eventually get released on Drake's More Life album called KMT. It is basically universally agreed upon that Drake stole the exact flow of Look at Me, but Drake disagrees.
I'm just like, yo, it's crazy that people think that after all this time, after all I've been through, that I'm the type of person to go some song that's on SoundCloud. It doesn't have like 2 plays. It has plays, you know, he has his cult following, and go and think that I'm gonna like take that and make it my own. Like, I'm not stupid. I'm not like a person like that, you know?
Considering Drake has never made anything that sounds like that song before or after, and he is known to just jump on new rappers' waves that they're creating, he seems to be flat out lying here. But X was different from other rappers that came before him. He wasn't gonna let Drake get away with this, and he was going to do everything in his power to let the world know where Drake got that flow. He took to Twitter to express his frustrations. I'm not gonna say no names, but it's funny how one of my guys hit me up saying, Drake watched your interview and messes with you. Now this dude is trying to play it safe and play it innocent. But it's cool, we all know Hotline Bling was a bite of Cha-Cha. I'm not the first dude he bit, nor will I be the last. Drake is a pussy. Money don't buy you respect. Drake's career is almost over. He better start investing money into real estate, cause once it's all over, he really gonna see the fake love. He also warned Drake not to come to Florida, where X is from. X had made multiple allegations that Drake's team had reached out to X's manager before KMT was released, but Drake suggested that he had no idea who X was. And we know Drake is the king of discovering new talent before anyone else, so X's claim is not unfounded.
Keeping a blood raw, I still think Drake a fuck nigga. Like, I think he's not a man. I think he's that's a bitch move. especially when I was in jail facing life, bro. You know what I'm saying? If Drake would have came to my barn hearing, you know what I'm saying, that would have made my fucking day. If he would have showed that he's a hospitable person and that he's really in this for the culture, rather than being a nigga taking my shit, running off with it, and then putting it on his album, then he would have got my kudos, he would have got my respect. I would have let him hop on the remix, take 100% royalty rate. I would have done it. Because I know I can maintain, you know what I'm saying, and I would have appreciated him for being a real nigga. But Drake not a real nigga.
But X didn't leave it at that. He wanted to push Drake's buttons, like tweeting about how his mom was cute or telling him to stop with his fake accents.
And hey, tell this nigga Drake, stop speaking patois. You are not Jamaican. I'm a real Jamaican. I'm from Kingston. All of my family is from Kingston. Stop stealing my people's culture. Get the off our. We don't claim you. Stop. We don't want you. Go back to where you came from. Whose man's is this?
Drake's fake accents have been a constant point of criticism over the years. For the first half of his career, he quite literally just sounded American.
What really bothers me the most is the fact that, you know, sometimes I feel like I don't get enough credit or I'm not making a big enough impact because I'm not enough of a loose cannon, you know, in situations like this where we're doing a one-on-one interview.
But this may have been intentional.
I don't want to show up here with like the super fake American accent and be like, you know, a lot that was at one point in our city was the thing, was like you had to pretend like you were from New York or you had to pretend like you were from somewhere in the States to kind of be like respected and cool.
It seemed as he got older, he started using more Toronto slang and just sounding overall more Canadian.
Don't talk to me, talk to these people. It's about these people right here. It's about these people, it's about the city. Hey, listen, we have the best player, we have the best fans in the whole NBA, in the whole world. Look around you. Look at this. We created this. This didn't exist before we were here. Look around at the square. I promise you right now, we did this. Doesn't matter what anybody says. They can say it's disrespectful. They can say it's this and that and that. Everybody's within the rules. Everybody's doing their thing. All we are is proud and passionate.
For our genre, I just like to, you know, keep things exciting and keep making music. Shout out to everybody that's trying to do the same thing. More life is coming soon and more tune for your head top, so watch how you speak on my name, you know?
He has been practicing his UK accent for years.
You know how good my London accent is?
Oh, dude, when you were going...
These guys came up to me like, yo, dog, you know what it is, dog. Big up yourself, bruv. You done know Drizzy Drake, dog. It's crazy, right?
That is not a bad Westwood impersonation.
South London, dog. You know what it is. But they talk like they want to shoot you in your face.
Crazy.
They're just like, yo, dog, you know what it is. You're the man, dog. You're the man. You're legend, dog. Right?
And he's even experimented with this hybrid Jamaican, Caribbean, British, I don't even know what to call this.
Set the thing dead and trust me, headshot for them bomb.
Oh, what's poppin'? Man's never been in marquee with a shot down, eh?
Kendrick Lamar even addressed his accent changes in Euphoria with the line, "It's no accent you can sell me, huh?" Or in the chilling Meet the Grams diss track, he said, "You lied about your accent and your past tense. All is perjury." Drake has addressed this multiple times. He doesn't think it's a big deal.
I still love making music, and part of loving it is a challenge, right? Like I need new challenges. So, you know, people often question like, oh, why, you know, all of a sudden you're switching your accent and making this type of music. It's not that. It's just, you know, at the end of the day, I can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, because one, you'll get used to it and then you'll be over it, and two, for me, it's like, you know, I want to try my hand at something, and you know, I don't really think I fucked it up yet.
Many have called him a culture vulture for essentially just shape-shifting and molding to whatever culture he's trying to exploit. But Drake says he's not exploiting, he's just showing love.
Like, even the definition of appropriating a culture is not supporting that culture, doing songs with people who are deeply rooted in that culture, giving opportunity to people who are in that culture. That's not appropriating. Appropriating is taking it for your own personal gain and denying that it was ever inspired from this. That's the true disservice that somebody could do to the UK, to dance hall, to Afro beats. Me, I've always, anytime I embark on one of those journeys, I ensure that I'm not only paying all due respects verbally, but like I make a point to give
look.
Yeah. Give opportunity to people that I respect, you know?
Regardless, X was coming at Drake's neck like nobody had ever seen before, straight up laughing in his face.
Tell everybody in OVO, suck my, spit on it, eat it up, gobble it up, don't you spit, ugh. Listen, Lil Wayne made that nigga. Drake saying they found him like this, man. Lil Wayne made you ass nigga. Pay your homage, nigga. Yeah, I leave my age in. OVO. Hey, tell Drake I like my pudding tapioca. Yo, somebody gonna shoot me.
And it's not like X was some unknown rapper. He had a huge following. He was easily the most popular upcoming artist at this time. At X's concerts, thousands of fans would chant Drake while X smiled with pride. But Drake is a strategic man. He sat back and just waited, watched what would happen. X got himself into a separate beef that resulted in him getting knocked out on stage while performing. Drake liked a comment on the Instagram post that read, "Rockabye Baby." When X dropped his debut album 17, Kendrick threw in his support for the young artist, doing something he never does, tweeting a link to the album with a caption, "Listen to this album if you feel anything, raw thoughts." Many people believe that Kendrick promoting and supporting Drake's biggest enemy at the time was an obvious sign of taking sides. Tensions were at an all-time high. The leader of the new generation of rappers wanted to see Drake's demise. Drake had made a few enemies in the industry just by being successful. They also wanted to see him go down. Referring to Kendrick's diss on Euphoria, "I like Drake with the melodies. I don't like Drake when he act tough." And Drake with the melodies was going away for a little while, because we were going to see a noticeable shift in 2018. This was a dark year for the rapper, as he made a drastic change that feels like he never really came back from. Starting off the year with a track strangely titled Diplomatic Immunity. Diplomatic immunity is essentially when the federal government makes foreign government officials immune from criminal prosecution and civil lawsuits, which is almost like Drake is saying that he could get away with crimes in different countries. He mentions that he now calls his house the embassy, and he says he has the truest ties, potentially referring to his connections with Jay Prince. In this track, Drake talked about nearly every single thing that would lead to his demise, or at least the things that other people would use against him. Drake raps in an angry, restless tone over a dark trap beat. All that peace and that unity, that weak shit'll ruin me. He basically talks about how his sleep schedule and alcohol use is destroying him. My body isn't much of a sacred temple with vodka and wine, and sleep at opposite times. I listen to heavy metal for meditation, no silence, waking up at 6 p.m. like, where does the day go? He mentions people challenging his identity as a black man. Billboard Awards, I claimed 13 out in Vegas. Black excellence. But I guess when it comes to me, it's not the same though. All goody. He even threatens you will be shot and or killed if you come at him. Come at me and all you'll get is the ballistic report. Get a runaround and I'll bury you where they won't find you. He even took shots at Joe Budden, his biggest hater in the media. I've seen Budden careers turn to sit around and talk about other careers, judging their peers, knowledge from dudes who did not contribute to none of this here. He even raps, a Rotterdam trip had me on the front page. Information leaked that Drake got a prawn star named Sophie pregnant in the Netherlands. And also, his legal team did not deny that it could be his. If it was in fact Drake's child, which he does not believe, he would do the right thing by the child. Also in the track, he says that he is violating the Treaty of Versailles, and that he refuses to comply with regulations. The Treaty of Versailles was essentially the agreement that ended World War I, and when Hitler broke the treaty, that unraveled into World War II. Drake could sense something was coming, which was perfectly said in the line, forecasting tornadoes, brainstorming retaliation at dinner tables. Good thing Drake was prepared, because a storm was headed his way. First order of business was sending more subliminals at XXXTentacion. In 2018, X was on a path of redemption. Many people were critical of his horrific criminal past, and he wanted to show the world that he could be a force for positivity, which birthed the inspiration for his Helping Hand Challenge.
So I'm gonna be starting a challenge. It's called the Helping Hand Challenge. The way to participate in this challenge is basically whoever makes the most donations congratulations, gets to meet me, spend a day with me, gets to go out to dinner with me. Just something simple, and maybe even $1,000 reward. The one that wins is the one who documents and helps the most, not only homeless, but the most people in need.
A couple weeks later, Drake posted this similar message on his Instagram story. I'm not into challenges on IG, I find them annoying, but today I'm going to challenge everyone to just go out and do something for someone. Anything. The smallest thing, just to bring another human some joy, and please tag me in it somehow so I can see all the love being spread. You don't have to play the song in the background or have some hashtag. This isn't about streams and all the other tactics being used. Just go be kind in any way you can, and let's all watch the world be nice to each other, even if it's for 24 hours. In addition to this post, Drake released a music video to his hit song, God's Plan, where he says that the budget for the video was $1 million, and he used nearly the entire budget giving money and resources to families, college students, or people in need. Additionally, the video was filmed in Miami, Florida, the city where X is from. This back and forth might be the most positive exchange in rap history, and while X recognized and didn't appreciate that Drake was trolling him, he still thanked him for participating in his challenge and asked if they could do some charity work together. Also that same exact day, X posted a cryptic message on Instagram saying, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was Drake," and then posted a picture on Twitter of a Drake lookalike pleasuring another man. Drake chose to ignore X once again. He also chose to ignore Kanye West, who stole a beat called Lift Yourself that was specifically made for Drake's album, only to rap poopity scoop and other childish lyrics. Ye hijacked the beat of what could have been another classic Drake record just because he didn't like him and he wanted to do a little bit of trolling. But Drake stayed focused. He didn't want to give his opposition any attention. But then Pusha T came out of nowhere and was about to drastically impact Drake's career. While Drizzy was gearing up to release his 8th studio album Scorpion, Pusha T, a longtime rival of Drake, dropped his album Daytona. Now Pusha and Drake had taken light jabs at each other over the years, but nothing more than just two rappers with fragile egos. Since Pusha T was signed to Kanye West's imprint Good Music, naturally he was loyal to Ye. In a song called Infrared, Pusha made it very clear that he was dissing Drake with the line, "The lyric pennin' equal to Trump's winnin'. The bigger question is how the Russians did it. It was written like Nas, but it came from Quentin," which is obviously a direct reference to Quentin Miller. He also rapped, "How could you ever right these wrongs when you don't even write your songs?" Upon hearing Pusha's diss track, Drake dropped a response the very same day titled Duppy Freestyle, which some people say is a better diss track than anything he released against Kendrick. And Drake for sure held his own on this record, calling Pusha a hypocrite because Drake has written songs for Kanye West. He also expresses on this track that he feels these guys are just jealous of him, but he indulges in the beef anyways. Perhaps the craziest line Drake said was, "I could never have a Virgil in my circle and hold him back because he makes me nervous. I want to see my brothers flourish to they higher purpose." Now this lyric is a reference to a Kanye interview where he said that Virgil Abloh becoming the director of Louis Vuitton made him feel a little nervous, and Kanye seemed envious of his friend's success. The ironic part about this is, well, Drake seemingly held back, I don't know, everyone he's ever worked with. Drake also downplays the magnitude of Quentin writing for him in the line, and as for Q, man, I changed his life a couple times. He was at Kroger working double time. Y'all acting like he made the boy when I was trying to help the guy. Drake also threw in some shots questioning Push's validity as a self-proclaimed drug dealer. Overall, Duppy Freestyle was a pretty solid diss. It wasn't that cutthroat. That is, until he mentioned Pusha T's fiancée, Virginia. He raps, "I told you keep playing with my name and I'ma let it ring on you like Virginia Williams." Now this may seem tame, but in hip-hop the mere mention of a family member is crossing a line and asking for danger, and Pusha T was going to mention Drake's family in his next diss track, with the caveat being that nobody in the world even knew that Drake had a family. The day after Duppy Freestyle dropped, Push dropped a follow-up diss track towards Drake called The Story of Adidon. He raps, "Since you name drop my fiance, let him know who you chose as your Beyonce. Sophie knows better as your baby mother, cleaned her up for IG, but the stench is on her. A baby's involved, it's deeper than rap. We talk in character, let me keep with the facts. You are hiding a child, let that boy come home. And then he goes on to call him a deadbeat. This revelation absolutely exploded in the media. Drake has a kid and nobody knew? He's trying to hide his son, he won't let him come home? There were so many questions and not enough answers. And while the narrative that Drake was a deadbeat dad was definitely a devastating blow, Pusha went so much deeper. He attacked Drake's character, identity, bringing him to a lower level than Drake the rapper. He was speaking to Aubrey Graham, starting with the cover art itself, which features Drake dressed in blackface. Drake knew that this was a terrible look and immediately wanted to address the story behind the image. This picture is from 2007, a time in my life where I was an actor and I was working on a project that was about young black actors struggling to get roles, being stereotyped and typecast. The photos represented how African Americans were once wrongfully portrayed in entertainment. Me and my best friend were attempting to use our voice to bring awareness to the issues we dealt with all the time as black actors at auditions. This was to highlight and raise our frustrations with not always getting a fair chance in the industry and to make a point that the struggle for black actors had not changed much. Some people felt this was a reasonable response. Perhaps his heart was in the right place, but the execution was poor. Whereas others see committing blackface is unforgivable no matter what the intent was. Pusha continued to attack Drake's identity as a black man. Confused, always felt you weren't black enough. Afraid to grow it cause your fro wouldn't nap enough. This could be substantiated with Drake's own words.
I just always felt like an outsider. I went, when I was in Forest Hill, you know, it was an all Jewish school, like, and just being biracial, but still being Jewish, so I was like kind of connected to the kids, but like sort of distant. And when, you know, when kids are young, they don't necessarily comprehend everything.
Right.
So it can get a little cruel and a little mean.
You get teased a lot?
Yeah, I mean, I got it, you know.
Pusha recognized Drake's sudden shift to a darker, more sinister sound in his raps. Even though you're multi, I see that your soul don't look alive. Your music for the past few years has been angry and full of lies. Now, this attack from Push seemed to be premeditated. After all, it was at the same time that he just dropped his own album, and then Kanye West dropped a 7-track album titled Ye, seemingly out of nowhere, 2 days after the Pusha T diss. Ye sold 208,000 copies in its first week and earned a #1 spot on the Billboard Hot 100. So not only did Push eviscerate Drake in a rap beef, Kanye added some additional burn with a #1 album. The ironic part is, one of the most popular songs on the project, titled Yikes, was actually written by Drake. Drake did not respond to the story of Adidon. Instead, he went ghost. He tucked his tail. He walked away. That revelation that he was hiding a child was seemingly too big to address. And since Drake did not respond, everyone pretty much just accepted that what Pusha said was the truth. But we would later find out that Jay Prince, his OG, told him not to respond.
For a man to attack a man's mother, his father, a man that's dying, I feel it's disrespectful. I spoke with Drake, you know what I mean? I made OG call to Drake this morning, telling him, I don't want you to respond to this. You know what I mean? We're gonna put this to bed.
So instead, Drake just went back to focusing on finishing his album. Shockingly, 2 weeks after the diss track, on June 18th, 2018, rapper XXXTentacion was shot and killed in a robbery outside of Riva Motorsports, a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach, Florida. 4 men were later arrested and charged in connection with the murder. Surveillance footage showed the suspects blocking XXXTentacion's car with an SUV before 2 of them approached his vehicle, shot him, and stole a Louis Vuitton bag containing $50,000 in cash. At the time of the murder, there was widespread confusion about what had happened, with conflicting reports and rumors spreading rapidly online. There was even a video a fan took at the scene of the crime with X slumped over in his car, dead. Due to X's past beefs with Drake, fans immediately started creating conspiracy theories, pointing to the song I'm Upset, which was released 1 month earlier. The cover art featured a red moon, which was never really symbolism for Drake, but X often used a moon in his branding. I mean, one of his biggest songs at the time was called Moonlight. Perhaps the red moon was the antithesis of X's moon? On the song, Drake rapped, "End up getting loose and getting pictures from my ex. SMS XXX. That's the only time I ever shoot below the neck. Why you keep on shooting if you know that he dead? That's the only kind of shit that gets you some respect. While the first half of this string of bars seems to just be about sending explicit pictures, fans couldn't help but notice the coincidence that XXX could mean XXXTentacion, who was in fact shot below the neck, and if it was a potential paid hit or gang hit or whatever, then that would get you some respect in the streets. But many others pointed out that the song released before X died, so the conspiracy is invalid. Then again, Drake has expressed clearly in interviews that he does like to talk about the future or rap about things that people don't understand now, but have to wait time to find out what he's actually talking about.
An emotion that I search for. I mean, I don't want you to get it right away. If you get it right away, there's no risk being taken. There's something that's not...
So much disingenuous.
It's not, it's just more like, if you're able to like wrap your head around it and be like, okay, cool, I get it. It is what it is, good song. That's not what like great music is. Great music takes a little work on your part. You know, it takes you almost maybe elevating your listening level and becoming, you know, a bit more of a sophisticated listener because of a song or because of an album.
They also point out that there was a young man in the Sicko Mode music video that seems to resemble XXXTentacion. It's only a few frames, but he gets crushed by a meteor or moon-like object. With Drake's back against the wall, more pressure than ever, he dropped his 8th album Scorpion, which not only drastically changed his life, but it changed the entire music industry. Scorpion was his 8th consecutive #1 album. He sold 732,000 equivalent album units in its first week. It broke Apple Music's single-day record with 170 million streams. It became the #1 album on the Apple Music charts in 92 countries. 3 different songs from the album, Nice for What, In My Feelings, and God's Plan, all reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. He broke the record for most weeks spent at #1 on the Hot 100, which was 29 weeks. It was the single most streamed album of 2018, earning 3.9 million equivalent album units by the end of the year. Immediately after the album dropped, the whole world was dancing to the In My Feelings challenge, which was one of the most viral dance trends on Instagram and TikTok. Nonstop also made a crazy run on TikTok with people doing the Flip the Switch challenge. More XXXTentacion conspiracy theories came to light, with him rapping on mob ties, Louis bags in exchange for body bags, because X's killers did steal his Louis bag before fleeing the scene of the crime. Many felt the song In My Feelings was Drake's way of taunting Kanye by making a song about Kim Kardashian. They thought Kiki was a nickname for Kim as he sung the chorus, Kiki, do you love me, are you riding, say you'll never ever leave from beside me, cause I want you and I need you and I'm down for you always. Drake confirmed that Kiki is actually model and social media personality Kiana Barber, but Ye feels like it was still a diss.
The fact that it's people making rumors or thinking that you f my wife and you're not saying nothing and you carrying it like that, that don't sit well with my spirit. You know, if I had a girlfriend from Chicago, her name was Renita, and then you was married to Rihanna, I wouldn't make no song called Riri. So when you're like, oh, I don't know where it come from, you too smart for that, bro. You know where that come from. Don't make no record with nothing that could be confused.
Drake did address some of the Pusha T controversies throughout the record. On the song Emotionless, he rapped, I wasn't hiding my kid from the world. I was hiding the world from my kid. On 8 out of 10, he rapped, the only dead beats is whatever beats I've been rapping to. Drake also addressed why he specifically did not respond to Pusha. Never a matter of could I or should I. Kiss my son on the forehead, then kiss your ass goodbye. As luck would have it, I've settled into my role as the good guy. Drake was going with this narrative that he was the bigger person by not responding to the diss track, even though he responded to Meek Mill right away, and even the first diss that Pusha T did, Drake responded right away. Still to this day, Drake alleges that he had a career-ending diss track on Pusha T, but still remains a mystery.
When I was making the record in Response, which was a real record, I know people think it's like some myth, it was like on this Vinyls beat, and I just found myself saying things that like one seemed really out of character just because I was like deeply invested in the situation and getting very angry. And saying things that I don't know if in 2 years I'd want to hear myself say. And yeah, I just realized that like nobody cares about this guy. So it's not really much I can say better than Drake has a baby. He won. You know, he won off that.
Drake may have lost the beef in terms of true hip-hop standards, but especially to his fans, it was really hard to figure out where he took the L. He had accumulated an immense amount of power in the industry after Scorpion. All of his songwriters at the OVO camp were still putting in work for him. He even added new heavy hitters to the team like Vori, who wrote on the track Mob Ties. Ye and Pusha's calculated attack did nothing to halt Drake's sales. Drake fans did not care about anything Pusha said. They didn't question his integrity, his credibility as a rapper, his parenting, his morality, nothing. As long as his music was playing in the clubs and they could dance to it, they were having fun. They didn't care about anything else. This is best summarized by Kendrick's Euphoria lyrics, "I make music that electrify 'em, you make music that pacify 'em." Drake even made the description of his album every major criticism he had received in his career up until that point, and at the end he writes, yeah, we know, and just shrugs off all the criticism. This is very representative of the attitude that Drake fans hold. They're tired of hearing it. They don't care. It was like all the beef, pressure, criticism just went away. Poof, gone, into thin air. Also, his biggest enemy with the most amount of potential conveniently died. As if this couldn't work any better in Drake's favor, the release of this album made him officially done with his contractual obligations to Young Money Cash Money, the Birdman-founded label that helped boost Drake to superstardom and maintain his spot for a decade. Now he was ready to start negotiations for a new deal. Literally nothing could stop Drake. He had unimaginable power, and he knew it. So from here, he continued to play psychological games against his opposition. Most of Drake's beef was with Kanye for the past few years. From 2019 to 2023, nearly all of Drake's subliminals were targeted at Ye, since he was convinced that it was Ye who leaked the information about Adonis to Pusha T.
This whole speech of like, you know, I'm in a great place, I'm making money, and I'm a father, and I want to, you know, be Quincy Jones and help you. But in order to do that, you've got to be transparent with me, and you've got to play me your music, and you've got to tell me when you're dropping, and I know you don't like to do things like that. And so, you know, I was in the studio. I guess, you know, we all kind of felt a genuine vibe from it. So I played him my music, and I told him when I was dropping.
How much of Scorpion did you have done by then?
Maybe like 60% or something.
Got it.
And then from there it was all good, you know. He played me like this.
He played you a beat, right?
He played me Lift Yourself, and he was like, yo, you can have this if you want. And I was hype. I started writing to it, and then he was like, yo, you gotta come to Wyoming. By the way, I'm in Wyoming. I play him March 14th. I send him a picture of my son.
Oh my God.
I tell him I'm having trouble with my son's mother. We had a conversation. I shared my... So...
He reiterated those feelings about Ye on his Behind Bars freestyle, rapping, "They want a link when they got no tunes. They too worried about selling out shoes. I don't give a F about jeans and crepe or going to Milan or going to the Met. I just want to make these songs for the set." Drake is essentially saying that Kanye pretends to be nice to Drake when he needs him to write music, or essentially he needs a favor. But Ye is too worried about his Yeezy sneakers and pursuing a fashion career to be able to kind of stay on the pulse of music culture. Ye tried to apologize on behalf of Pusha, as well as his own involvement in the diss battle between the two, tweeting, "Since we're building as friends and brothers, I should have spoken to Pusha about the Quentin Miller bar. There should have been no songs with my involvement that had any negative energy towards you. I did not have any conversations about your child with Pusha." But Drake seemingly had no interest in patching things up with Ye because he didn't believe the apology was genuine. Then again, Ye would randomly burst out with Twitter rants about Drake, saying that Drake was threatening him. Kanye tweeted, "So Drake, if anything happens to me or anyone from my family, you are the first suspect. So cut the tough talk. There would never be a Drake without a Kanye West, so never open your mouth with a threat." And with that, the beef was seemingly on forever. Drake went at Ye and Pusha on Trippie Redd's song Betrayal as he rapped, 45, 44, burnt out, let it go. Ye ain't changing shit for me, it's set in stone. Ironically, he told them to let it go when he seemingly couldn't let it go. Drake took even more shots at Ye and Kim by making an anthem essentially dedicated to their pending divorce. In the song Laugh Now Cry Later, he sings, "I know that they at the crib, going crazy, down bad, what they had didn't last, damn baby." In 2021, both of their albums, Drake's Certified Lover Boy and Kanye West's Donda, were flooded with subliminal shots at each other. They dissed each other so much it was like almost the only reason why they made music anymore. But the one consistent theme that came up was Drake hinting that he smashed Kim Kardashian.
I think Drake smashed Kim K, no cap. Come on, man. Let's stay on topic.
That ain't that far off of a concept.
Like, why would we not say the obvious shit?
And again, this is as a fan, just stepping back. There's something.
Talk, my nigga.
Something real personal going on in that world to where Drake was like, because knowing Drake is the most calculated dude
but
ever.
We think that he kind of just leaked his personal conversations.
Nah.
Is that not enough?
Yeah,
no?
there's something that Drake holds over that whole family that he like, y'all don't want me to let this out.
Exactly.
However, Kanye says that in private, Drake assured him that nothing ever happened.
And he says, yo, I just want to tell you, nothing ever happened, with Kim.
Who, Future's telling
No,
you
this is what Drake told me.
Oh, this is
I'm
Drake.
only talking to Drake about Future, really. Like,
Okay.
I'm like, yo, I love Future.
This is after y'all squashed the beat, after the
This
concert?
is when we were squashing it, right?
Now, if you know anything about Kanye West's history, you know he's not exactly the most trustworthy source, but as we've seen in this video, Drake is not really the most trustworthy either, so kind of hard to believe either of them. But they even patched things up for a little bit and did a Larry Hoover benefit concert where Drake was seen crying while Ye was performing Runaway. But despite Drake and Ye making amends, he seemingly threw it all out the window with a subliminal on Rich Flex. "You rappers love asking if I effed, when you know we did. She came in heels, but she left out on her cozy shit." Either Drake actually slept with Kim and it eats Kanye alive, or he didn't, but he likes to do everything in his power to convince Kanye that he did. Again, more psychological warfare. On his 2023 song Search and Rescue, which is essentially about not wanting to participate in meaningless escapades with women and desiring a more permanent relationship, he samples an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians where Kim talks about being bitter towards her divorce with Ye. Absolutely diabolical. But it was in 2023 where everything started to heat up for Drake. He released his For All the Dogs album, which again was riddled with so many disses to Ye, but also some other people, like A$AP Rocky and Rihanna. Fans have long suspected that Drake always yearned for Rihanna, and he is still hurt to this day over her settling down with A$AP Rocky. On his track Fear of Heights, he seemingly goes after her, rapping, "Why they make it sound like I'm still hung up on you? That could never be. Gal can't run me. Better him than me. Better it's not me. I'm anti. Yeah, and sex was average with you."
Damn.
Drake's version of proving that he is not hung up on someone is by making an entire song about them. He also rapped, "I'm not pretty Flacco, this shit get really rocky." People also suspected he was beefing with his longtime collaborator, Future, over a girl. In the song What Would Pluto Do, he rapped about desiring a girl that was sleeping with one of his friends, but he chose to smash her anyways because that's what Future would do. Drake and Future hadn't made a song together in years at this point. There were rumors that they were supposed to come out with a sequel to their joint album, What a Time to Be Alive. But allegedly, instead, Drake chose to collaborate with other Atlanta artist 21 Savage on Her Loss. Many people suspected their relationship soured, and they were right. But perhaps the most monumental part of this project was Drake's collaboration with J. Cole on First Person Shooter, where Drake is bringing his boisterous, powerful energy, claiming that he is the GOAT of rap. J. Cole rapped, "Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey, or me? We the big three like we started a league." Even though this kind of seems like a compliment, Kendrick would not take it as such, and would eventually fire back. However, the track I find most interesting was actually on the 6-song EP/deluxe, Scary Hours 3. Just like in his 2018 track, Diplomatic Immunity, Drake seemingly predicted the absolute chaos that was about to rain down on him in 2024. On the track Red Button, he raps, "Realized that everything premeditated. Everyone was good with me, then everyone's expression faded. Ticking time bomb, they begging me to detonate it. If I press this red button, dog, everybody heaven gated. Press this red button, dog, and everything forever changes." Drake's red button will seemingly destroy the industry, so what information could he possibly have? He also hints at the idea that the music industry is rigged against him, or perhaps he is blackballed, and that other artists are using fake streams or padded stats to compete with him. Radio is king again. Billboard got me regulated. Wanna make it fair for you, numbers that I generated. Taylor Swift is the only one I ever rated. Only one could make me drop the album just a little later. Rest of y'all, I treat you like you never made it. Leave your label devastated. Even when you pad the stats, I never hated. These bars seemingly preludes the talking points he would bring up in his petition against Universal Music Group. But was his red button this legal action? The chaos that would ensue actually started from an unsuspecting enemy of Drake, Metro Boomin. Metro was upset over Drake's success outshining Metro's compilation album, Heroes and Villains, which featured nearly every major artist in the game besides Drake. Drake actually did have a verse on one of the songs, but Metro chose to remove it and then said it just didn't fit on the album.
Just even with like Slime verse and Trav verse and the outro, it was just already like, it just really wasn't no room. It was just wasn't no room. It wasn't no personal. It just wasn't no room. So.
But how does Drake not fit on your album that features literally every top rapper in the game? Clearly they had some bad blood, but nobody really knew why. In a Twitter thread that was discussing Metro Boomin's album getting 10 million streams a day and Drake's album only 4 million a day, he replied, "Yet her loss still keeps winning Rap Album of the Year over Heroes and Villains. Proof that award shows are just politics and not for me. I don't care about awards, honestly. The true award and reward is knowing that the music I spend so much time on brings joy to people's everyday lives." It's obvious that Metro was just jealous. He claims he doesn't care about awards, but yet here he is, upset about it. So he deleted the tweet, which made Drake call him a tweet and deleter on a Kick live stream.
To the rest of you, the non-believers, the underachievers, the tweet and deleters, you guys make me sick to my stomachs, fam. Honestly, if you guys want to look in my eyes, you guys want to do something? You guys, that's what I thought. No, that's what I thought.
Drake was taunting his enemies, so they did something. Metro and Future dropped an album titled We Don't Trust You, which is literally a shot at Drake in the title. On the opening track, Future rapped, "You my #1 fan, dog. Sneak dissin', I don't understand, dog. Pillow talking, acting like a fed, dog. I don't need another fake friend, dog. Can't be bout a hoe, cause we sharing, dog. In your feelings, why you playin', dog." Future essentially said that Drake was talking behind his back to a female that they were both sleeping with. Fans drew conclusions that it could be someone who worked for OVO and Future's label, Free Band Gang, named Princess Diana, who has a song named after her on the album as well. Yet another rap beef started over a girl. A$AP Rocky also jumped on the album and took shots at Drake because of Drake's previous song about Rihanna. Rocky claimed that he actually smashed Drake's baby mama first. Dudes and they feelings over women. What, you hurt or something? I smashed before you birthed, son. Flacco hit it first, son. Still don't trust you. It's always us, never them. The Weeknd even dropped some subliminals on this record, alluding to him being much bigger than Drake since he is constantly performing stadiums while forgetting what arenas are like, because Drake just did 2 back-to-back arena tours. And it was also on this album that the explosive track Like That ignited the back and forth between Drake and Kendrick, with Kendrick firing off some not so subliminal shots at Drake and J. Cole, rapping, "Mother F the big 3. It's just big me. For all your dogs getting buried, that's a K with all these 9s, he gon' see Pet Sematary." All the walls were closing in on Drake. All his enemies had finally had enough of him. They were sick of his disses, sick of his success, sick of his predatory behavior, sick of his disguises and phony accents, sick of his pandering, sick of his redundant songs dominating the radio, sick of stabbing people in the back, sick of him pursuing literally every rapper's girl. They wanted to see him crash and burn, so they decided to all attack him at once. Now obviously Kendrick Lamar got all the spotlight since their back and forth became the bulk of what people were talking about in 2024. But the beef with Kendrick essentially covers all the stuff that I have broke down for you in this video. This video that took me, what, 2 hours to explain, Kendrick was able to do in 4 diss tracks. So on one hand, it seems like Drake just finally pissed off enough of his peers over the past 17 or so years, but what if I told you it might actually be even bigger than that, and that the rap beefs were actually just a distraction to Drake being a much bigger threat? Now this is the part where a lot of the juicy drama goes out the window, so people tend to check out. But make no mistake, this is the thing that actually matters. In 2020, a conversation between Steve Stout, record executive and founder of the independent music distribution service United Masters, and independent rapper Russ, went viral discussing about what would happen if Drake decided to go fully independent, since Drake was in the middle of negotiating a massive deal with Universal Music Group.
If Drake right now, completely independent, if Drake right now posts a link on a picture on the gram of his new album, link in bio, it isn't a link in bio, new album out, fully independent, Drake will make $10 million a week for fucking 60 weeks.
By the way,
you know? It's like insane.
Drake is, I said this before, and it's about to come out in the next 6 months. Drake is about to get the biggest bag in the history of the music business by far.
He should.
Because, well, A, he should, and B, they don't want that to happen. Because the day that happens, you might as well close the business down.
Drake should go independent and fuck the whole shit up.
If Drake goes independent, the music business is over.
Even though this is a short clip, there is a lot to unpack here. Firstly, Steve Stout accurately predicted Drake getting the biggest bag in music history, because shortly after this interview, Drake signed a LeBron-sized $400 million recording contract. After the deal hit the news, Drake rapped on the Migos song, Having Our Way. Things done changed. Billionaires talk to me different when they see my pay stub from Lucien Grange. Lucien Grange is the CEO of Universal Music Group. UMG is one of the big three record labels that own and control the entire industry. UMG holds the largest market share, controlling 38% of all of the music that exists. The contract was described as a 360 deal on steroids, encompassing his recordings, publishing, merchandise, and visual media projects. However, new reports say that it's just a licensing deal. Drake's current deal is a licensing agreement, giving UMG the right to commercially exploit his music for a set period. That's why they released the bundle he self-leaked. Once the term ends and the advance is recouped, Drake regains full rights to his music. UMG owns nothing. Here's like an extremely simplified version of what this means. Drake gets paid $400 million up front, and then UMG takes 100% of his record sale earnings or album sale earnings or stream earnings until they get back their $400 million and a little bit of profit. Then after that, the deal is done and he retains ownership of his masters. Maybe after they signed this deal, UMG thought Drake would get comfortable. He got his $400 million. He's been in the game for over a decade. Maybe they thought he'd slow down, take his time releasing music, and they were going to recoup their investment over the next 10 years or so. What I'm saying is they probably thought this was like his retirement deal. But after Drake signed this $400 million deal, he grinded harder than ever. In his 2021 track, Over the Top, alongside OVO Sound signee Smiley, he said, "Anyone else would retire, but I'm not content. I want to bury these dudes like 20 feet down so no one can find them again. It's gotta be scary to witness me carry these dudes around in both of my hands." He did back-to-back tours in 2023 and 2024 consisting of over 100 shows. The It's All a Blur tour grossed $215 million. Immediately after, he embarked on the co-headlining Big Is the What tour with J. Cole that grossed over $100 million. In that time, he released Certified Lover Boy, Honestly Nevermind, Her Loss, For All the Dogs, Scary Hours Deluxe. He dropped 4 albums and 18 singles in less than 3 years. And since 2021, he has generated somewhere between 40 and 50 billion with a B streams. Now the average stream payout is about 3/100ths of a cent per stream, but the record labels probably get a better deal than that. Let's just say 5/100ths of a cent. So multiply that by 50 billion, that would mean he has earned somewhere around $200 million on streaming alone. And considering I have limited access to their information, nor do I know all of the other intricacies of their contract, they probably have made way more than $200 million. Larry Jackson, who is a former Apple executive, started the first company that actually has a real chance of competing with major labels, and it's called Gamma. He suspects that Drake's catalog is worth significantly more than people have estimated.
So the thing that I'll say to you about the artist you just mentioned is that if you look at his music, he's bigger than the 70s, 80s, and 90s combined. I don't mean like one artist from that era, I mean all of those eras combined. 70s and the, I'll even say the 60s, 70s, and 80s rather, not the 90s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
I think it's a safe assumption that Drake has either made the $400 million or he is extremely close to making it. And after that, he gets ownership of his catalog. But do you think Universal wants Drake to own his catalog? Additionally, since he made the money back so quickly, standard business knowledge would say that he has more negotiating power when discussing the next deal. He made them $400 million this fast, maybe next time he wants $600 million, maybe $800 million. Maybe over $1 billion. Drake knows how valuable he is. Maybe he's asking for a deal that benefits him more than UMG. Because before this rap beef with Kendrick Lamar, the record labels needed Drake more than he needed them. I mean, think about it. What would happen to the music industry if Drake went independent? Well, first you have to assess, what does the record label do for Drake that he can't do himself? Streaming services are the overwhelming majority of how people consume music. You have dozens of services like DistroKid or TuneCore that allow you to upload unlimited music to every major digital streaming platform for like $50 to $100 per year. The days are long gone of relying on labels to produce, package, and distribute physical copies of your music to Best Buy and then track the sales and then report those numbers back to you. Everything is just done online now. Additionally, social media is the way that artists communicate directly with their followers and let them know that they are dropping. Marketing campaigns these days, if an artist even does one, are mostly just done on their own Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. And even if they do a press release or promo campaign, most of these companies are independently owned and operated. I mean, a modern music marketing campaign consists of going on Kai Cenat's Twitch stream, doing an On the Radar performance, maybe hopping on a couple of podcasts, or paying some TikTokers to dance to your song. None of these things require a record label. They definitely require money, which labels do provide, but so do banks, and cousins and uncles and grandmothers. And that's obviously not a problem for Drake. Not only is he rich, but every single platform or influencer would be excited to host him because their numbers will boost significantly. It's a symbiotic relationship. If Drake comes on your show, he can talk to the people, and your relevance and revenue will skyrocket. However, there are two pretty important areas of music that are still controlled by big corporations. One, radio, and two, touring/live music. You, as an independent artist, will never, and I mean never, get on any major radio station without being signed to a label, or if you pay to get your song played. Now, providing money, gifts, or bribes in exchange for radio play, otherwise known as payola, is illegal. The Federal Communications Commission, or the FCC, treats payola as a violation of the sponsorship identification rules, which requires any broadcast of paid material to include a disclosure that what the person is listening to is an advertisement. Legendary radio DJ Big Boy talks about witnessing payola firsthand.
I never got caught up in the olas, you know, the payola, the plug-ola, and I just didn't owe nobody nothing. You know, I had one that tried to give me a Mercedes Benz, and I was like, nah, man. And he was like, I said, nah, because I complimented on him, complimented him on the Benz, and he was like, oh man, just go on and take it, just go on and take it. I was like, nah, man. I was like, nah. I said, and I know what he doing, you know, shit. I come from that world, you know. You cut somebody off a big ass piece, and then that shit start getting smaller and smaller. You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. I know how to hook you, nah. And then he said, well, give me $1 for it. And I'm like, nah. Because I'd never be able to pay that $1 off. You know what I'm saying? So other than that, I was always good with just no. You know, another time Eazy-E had somebody bring something to the door for me. I never told that story. And you know, I don't know what money is. They're like, oh, you know, Eazy-E got a record, so on and so forth. So I go out there and I look, and they're like, give me a bag. And it's like one of the movies where somebody hand you a bag with cash in it and a CD. But yeah, I was just like, man, I took the CD, gave the money back. And then the record ended up popping by itself anyway.
Funkmaster Flex of Hot 97 says record labels are still paying for songs to be on the radio, but not Drake. He says that these numbers are per song. Drake does not pay for play. For pop radio, $350K per song. Urban radio, $250K per song. Mix show, $100K. Local mix show director, $40K. Local DJ, $3 to $5K per song. And still, even if Drake had to pay to get his song on the radio and indulge in a little payola, he could do it. He could afford those numbers. What I'm trying to say is, if Drake were to go independent, it could profoundly disrupt the music industry by demonstrating that a major artist can thrive without traditional label support. This could lead to a ripple effect of high-profile artists like maybe Taylor Swift or Adele or Beyonce or Rihanna leaving the major labels. Then the labels would struggle to attract and retain talent, which would lead to shrinking profits and layoffs of important job positions. Then, slowly but surely, they wouldn't be able to invest as much money taking risks on new talent, which, if you didn't know, it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to break a new act in the mainstream. The traditional music industry model relies on signing hundreds of artists and hoping that one of them blows up to pay for the losses of all the rest. Spotify would no longer flood their playlists with only label-signed artists because the trendy music would be all from indie artists. Then from there, radio might start actually airing more indie music if that's what the culture or the internet is demanding. Little by little, you can see how the decentralization would occur. It would essentially democratize music. So with Drake having that threat, that power, that if he went independent, it would essentially start the destruction of the music industry. Plus him absolutely torching through that $400 million deal that is now up for renegotiation. The only thing that could possibly give UMG an advantage over him is if he died.
Oh, I thought they were gonna say
or the next closest thing to dying as it pertains to a celebrity, which is being outed as a pedophile, losing all of his relevance, and being hated by his fans. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I am 99% sure you know about Kendrick Lamar's iconic 2024 diss track, Not Like Us, that was aimed at Drake and accused him of being a pedophile multiple times. Not only is the cover art a picture of Drake's mansion with multiple sex offender watch logos above it, but in the song he raps, "Say Drake, I hear you like 'em young. To any girl that talked to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your lil' sister from him. Certified lover boy, certified pedophile." That name gotta be registered and placed on Neighborhood Watch. Kendrick also accused Drake of being an offender on his track Euphoria, as well as the track Meet the Grams, where he directly addressed Drake's mother, saying, "Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think people like him should die. Him and Weinstein should get effed up in a cell for the rest of their life." Now, there hasn't necessarily been any proof that Drake is a pedophile or sex offender. Nobody has made any legal allegations against him. However, there is a long history of strange behavior that Drake has had with young girls that seems to give Kendrick's claims some merit. Like at the show he performed in May of 2010, where he kissed a 17-year-old girl after finding out her age.
Feel guilty or not, but I had fun. I like the way your breasts feel against my chest. I just want to thank you.
It's particularly strange that Drake recognized that this was creepy or potentially illegal and then chose to kiss her anyways. At the time, Drake was 23 years old. Now, legally speaking, in the state of Colorado, Drake did not break any laws. However, many people believe that he simply got lucky, because it would have been considered illegal in 12 other US states. Additionally, people feel this is just a representation of a potential sinister pattern of behavior. If he did this on stage, then what would he do while nobody was watching? But it doesn't end there. In 2017, Drake posted a photo of him with Millie Bobby Brown, a 14-year-old actress who was the star of the hit show Stranger Things. The photo was seemingly innocent. That was until Millie did an interview and detailed their relationship further.
Tell me about your friendship. How did this all come about?
I love him. I met him in Australia, and he's honestly so fantastic and a great friend and a great role model. You know, we just text each other the other day, and he was like, "I miss you so much." I was like, "I miss you more." He's coming to Atlanta, so I'm definitely gonna go and see him. I'm so excited. Yeah.
You and Drake? That's awesome. That's awesome. What advice does he give you? Like, what does he say?
About boys. He helps me.
What?
Yeah. He's great. He's wonderful. I love him.
What's his advice with boys?
You know, That stays in the text messages.
Not only is texting a 13-year-old weird, but also giving them relationship advice just takes it to another level. Many people felt that a 31-year-old texting a young teenager was inappropriate, but Millie said otherwise, as she took to Instagram to defend Drake. "You guys are weird, for real. I'm lucky to have people in the business extend their time to help me further my career and offer their wisdom and guidance. I'm very blessed to have amazing people in my life. You don't get to choose that for me." Billie Eilish had a similar reaction after the internet erupted when they found out that the 17-year-old was texting Drake.
Drake is like the nicest dude I've ever spoken to. I mean, I've only like texted him, but he's so nice. Like, he does not need to be nice. You know what I mean? He's at a level in his life where he doesn't need to be nice, but he is, you know?
Billie responded to the internet's criticism. "The internet is such a stupid ass mess right now. Everybody's so sensitive. A grown man can't be a fan of an artist. There are so many people that the internet should be more worried about. There were reports in 2018 that claimed Drake, who was 31, took an 18-year-old model, Bella B. Harris, on a date in Washington, D.C., but she denied, saying she wasn't even in the same state at the time. Coming off an amazing New York Fashion Week, I feel I need to set the record straight. I did not dine in DC recently. I was happily working and dining in New York City every day. However, people were still suspicious about Drake's involvement with the young model, so they went to her Instagram and saw that she had posted multiple photos with Drake in 2016. She would have been 16 years old at that time. Additionally, she modeled for OVO, again at age 16, and Drake commented under the post with heart eyes emojis. Drake has also rapped some questionable lyrics over the years. "High school pics, you was even bad then. We coulda waited, I wasn't rushing, difference in ages, you're old enough, but you're still a baby. Baby that was so worth the wait. I wasn't in love with none of them anyway. Now I'm in too deep." As if it couldn't look any worse for Drake, the way he responded to the allegations on his The Heart Part 6 diss track was abysmal. "I never been with no one underage. Just for clarity, I feel disgusted. I'm too respected. If I was effing young girls, I promise I'd have been arrested. I'm way too famous for that shit you just suggested." As if being too famous or respected amongst your peers has ever stopped these other countless offenders from committing crimes. Because of the power that Drake had accumulated in his career, all of these stories just kinda got brushed under the rug. That was until 2024 when Kendrick started calling him a pedo and people started digging into his past. In response, Drake filed a petition against UMG citing defamation, that UMG used bot or fake streams as well as illegally paid for radio play and promotion to artificially boost Kendrick Lamar's song that falsely accused him of being a pedophile. Now, it's important to know that this is not a lawsuit, it's a petition that's basically like a warning that Drake believes he has enough information to prove a defamation case against UMG. He alleges that UMG and Spotify collaborate on strategic marketing campaigns and products, and in 2024 announced an expansion of their strategic partnership through which Spotify will amplify music discovery and social interaction and enhance fan experiences across the platform for UMG's family of artists and songwriters. Drake also alleges that UMG charged Spotify licensing rates 30% lower than its usual licensing rates for Not Like Us in exchange for Spotify affirmatively recommending the song to users who are searching for other unrelated songs and artists. Many people confirmed that Not Like Us would randomly pop up on their app even when they weren't searching for it, but the 30% royalty discrepancy might be referring to Spotify's Discovery Mode feature, which is a service that Spotify provides to all artists big or small, where they promote your song in the algorithm extra for a 30% royalty. Drake claims that UMG used bots to jumpstart the song to 30 million streams in the first few days to make the song seem more popular than it was. And then the evidence they provided was a DJ Academic stream where some random anonymous faceless hacker claimed that he was working for Kendrick.
So you got paid 2 days after?
Yeah, I got reached out to. It was May 5th afternoon, and that's when they were like, and I will send you also receipts of that as well, me being reached out to by the third party and then being paid by them. And they actually told me, they're like, hey, we can make some money on this. They just did this drop. They want to just push it. That's how they worded it. They said, we want to push the song. We want to make it look like a crazy hit and we want to go crazy and everybody wants to get paid.
But no evidence or receipts were provided. He also alleges that NFR podcast YouTubers were paid to promote the song. The petition alleges that online sources reported that when users asked Siri to play the album Certified Lover Boy by Drake, Siri instead played Not Like Us. The petition also spends a considerable amount of time accusing UMG of payola. As we discussed before, this involves illegally paying radio stations to play the songs over and over. And because of these shady business practices, Not Like Us has almost 900 million streams on Spotify and holds the record for the biggest single day streams of a hip-hop song and the most streamed diss track in Spotify history, and also broke the record for most streamed song in a 7-day period. But my personal favorite part of the petition is where Drake said, "Streaming and licensing is a zero-sum game. Every time a song breaks through, it means another artist does not. UMG's choice to saturate the music market with Not Like Us comes at the expense of its other artists, like Drake." God forbid an artist gets one song to do more numbers than Drake when he has been dominating sales and streaming for 15 years. Right. And if you think all of what's in this petition seems like weak evidence or no evidence, you'd be right. Attorneys seem to think he has a weak case.
Tough to see what the end game would be. I agree that he's got high-powered attorneys that know what they're doing, that wouldn't have taken something this far unless they believed they could follow through. But I think you have to be careful when you cast aspersions. It seems unlikely that Universal would have to use those tactics for Kendrick's release and not for others, maybe even including his. So you might be careful what you're asking for here.
This attorney brings up a good point. Drake is downplaying how massive this song, this moment, was for hip-hop. There were countless YouTube videos breaking down this beef, millions of tweets about the back and forth. This is easily the biggest moment in hip-hop, maybe in our lifetime. Additionally, Drake might be opening up a can of worms that he does not want to. Meaning if he is somehow able to expose Kendrick of botting streams and paying for airplay, then that could unravel to Drake being exposed for using those exact same tactics. We're supposed to believe that labels have never done these shady business methods to promote Drake's records over his 15-year dominance. However, there is another theory circulating that he is just trying to get out of his contract.
Well, there's always a PR component to all of this, right? I've heard questions online about perhaps this is a way for him to get out of his recording contract. Maybe it's an attempt to keep Kendrick Lamar from performing the song that shall not be named at the Super Bowl. I'm not sure exactly where it goes. Could be that the discovery, the disclosure that they're looking for will help them figure that out.
Like we speculated earlier, maybe Drake recouped on his $400 million deal and he wants a re-up. Maybe he is asking for $600 million, $800 million, $1 billion, and maybe they are locking him into some contractual loophole. Maybe he wants to just go independent and break free from the label because he doesn't think he needs them anymore. One of the most interesting parts of the petition was that Drake claimed UMG offered to partner with him to team up against Kendrick. Instead, UMG has pointed the finger at Mr. Duckworth, insisted that Drake should initiate legal action against Mr. Duckworth rather than UMG, and even threatened to bring its own legal claims against Mr. Duckworth if Drake were to pursue claims against UMG. So if that were true, then why wouldn't Drake just sue Kendrick? Surely he would win with all of his legal power in addition to UMG's legal power on his side. This is why most people think that this isn't really just a lawsuit. So while most people are just claiming that Drake is trying to sue because he's a sore loser and he's mad about losing the rap beef, other people think that he's just trying to get out of this deal and go independent. Nothing more than a negotiating strategy. Now you might be thinking, why would Drake's own label want his reputation to be ruined? Wouldn't that hurt his sales and then in turn hurt their investment? Well, they don't want it to be permanently ruined. They just want his reputation to be ruined right now so they can renegotiate a deal, then once he is signed, they can help him restore it. Plus, the guy who dissed him, Kendrick, is signed to the exact same label. So if Drake goes down and Kendrick goes up, they make money regardless. But Drake maybe finally took things too far. Perhaps UMG also had a trick up their sleeve. A few days after the petition was filed, one of XXXTentacion's killers, Dedrick Williams, appealed his case and cited Drake as a witness. Keep in mind, this case was solved and closed years ago, so the timing of this appeal is interesting. Plus, Drake was originally listed as a witness, but the courts seemingly ignored it.
What exactly were you suggesting? Are you suggesting that Drake had a part in it, or that just it wasn't looked into and it shows a sloppy investigation and not a fair trial?
Well, in the brief and in what I was arguing in court is the latter.
Drake suing UMG might be his big mistake. The truth is, there is not just one reason why the entire industry attacked Drake in 2024. It could be that rappers are just jealous of him and want to see him dethroned as the biggest hip-hop artist in the world. It could be that he taunts and disrespects others by sleeping with women they were previously involved with and then brags about it. It could be that he takes advantage of young talent, steals their hard work for his own benefit, and leaves them out to dry. It could be that he profits off a culture that he doesn't actually identify with and is merely cosplaying an image. It could be that he is potentially sexually involved with minors. And it could be that he is in a high-stakes battle against UMG with power, control, and even survival on the line. But it's really hard to call Drake a victim considering how the system has worked in his favor for so long. There weren't many strong reasons to defend Drake when Kendrick ignited the beef because, well, as K-Dot said, "Take that mask off. I want to see what's under them achievements. Why believe you? You never gave us nothing to believe in."
God damn, PactrickCC. You gave me the goosebumpers, dog. You gave me the goosebumps, my boy. Sheesh. Yeah, this boy. Man, it's just crazy, man. I wonder what yeah, the picture says a lot, you know what I mean? Like Target is crazy on his head, man, because beef thing is one thing, but man, you can't go against them cats, bro. You know what I mean? Them people, the higher ups, you know, that shit is dangerous, Drake. Be careful, Drake. That's what's up.